Hello, Ekberzadeh, founder of Dream Achievers Academy and author of award-winning books Leadership Soup and Get What You Want. Thank you very much for joining me live, whoever joins me today. And this is part of what I call Weekly Connect. And in these Weekly Connects every week on Thursdays around noon time, Central Time in US and Canada. I just go live and talk about a topic that can help people, can help my connections achieve higher levels of success. And today I was thinking of what to talk, and I thought I would talk about the first book that I wrote. And this book is called Leadership Soup, and this is the book, the cover of the book. And this is really a book that I'm proud of when I wrote it, because it's a topic that we know there are lots of people write about it, and there are lots of issues around it, and many claim that they are great leaders. But at the same time, we always can develop ourselves to become better leaders in our personal life, even with our families, and also in what we are doing in our business. And at that time, when I started writing this book, before that, back in 2005, I really was not into leadership much. And I've written this story in the book that at that time I had joined a big company, and it was just maybe a few months in the job that I took on a project, and that was my first formal project out of the postdoctoral graduate that I had with the university. And interestingly, that was with another big company in energy industry. And I did the project and reported the results, but the results were not favorable to the client. They wanted me to communicate more about what's going on so they can kind of adjust what we were doing in the lab. And that resulted in some sort of complaint from the client to our company. And during one of the um, meetings that we had on a weekly basis among project managers and the center manager. The center manager was not really happy with what had happened because this client was really a good client and big client. And he started blaming me in front of others, and I got emotional. I've written the more details of it in the book. And that day with what happened really made me wonder, is this the right way of working with people, especially that was new in the company, and whether there is something that I can learn from it, because I was really disappointed. I wanted to leave the company, and then I started asking questions from myself. Why did I even get into engineering and then to even PhD? And is this something that I want to do for the rest of my life? Is this the right way of managing people? And if not, then what should we do? And that kind of really helped me get to the place to learn more about various ways of management and then leadership. And over time, I started searching more and learning more and reading more. Attended John Maxwell's sessions and reading his books, and other people like Robin Sharma. And all of these really were preparing me for writing something. And at that time, I didn't know exactly whether if I want to write something. I said, someday I will write a book, and but I had no idea. And this really brought me to several layers later after that incident, that I was presenting on this topic of leadership to a group of people in Toastmasters, and we were like about 40, 50 people in the room, and the topic of my presentation or the educational session was on leadership, and I called the title of the session Leadership Soup, and I discussed that philosophy or the framework that I had because I have engineering background. I really like frameworks. I like acronyms. All of this, I brought them together. I called it Leadership Soup, and with some music and all these sort of things, it became very interesting. And at the end of that 1 hour, 90-minute session, I don't remember how long, uh, many of the attendees, they were so excited and they said, you have to write about this. Have you started writing a book or these sort of things? I said, no. And that was 2009. And then they encouraged me to write, and that's what I put as a commitment for myself to start writing a book. And if you remember, 2 weeks ago, I talked about commitment and consistency. So I committed to writing a book, and then I really was also consistent. I was going to work every day. I didn't leave the job because I really felt passionate now about creating this avenue for myself other than the technical side that I knew that was really part of the destiny to bring me to Canada at that time. So uh, I started writing, and I wrote every morning before going to work. I would wake up around 6 a.m. and write until 7:30. Sometimes I would write just maybe a paragraph. Sometimes I would write a page depending on the subject, depending on my mood and emotions. And sometimes I really felt everything was flowing. So it just was coming, and not that I mastered everything. No, I haven't mastered all of what I've written, but I think sometimes it's just ideas that come, you put it, and you have a framework, you put things together, and some of those is just what you aspire to be or do. So now, people ask me later why I chose the name Leadership Soup and why I wrote a book on leadership with my background in engineering, which was surprising to some people. So uh, first of all, I finished the book in 1 year. As I said, every day I was writing. So some people block time, maybe 2 months, 3 months, and they write a book. But sometimes we just don't have that luxury. We work, and it's a matter of the discipline that we create, that consistency I talked about a couple of weeks ago. And it's important to have the commitment and consistency if you want to create a book or a product or a training, anything that you want to really create in addition to what you're doing. So many people complain, I don't have time. To me, if you really set aside some time, find where or in which areas you're wasting time. And I think last week I shared about this, that you can have a TV diet or news diet. We can cut some of that time and start doing something that in your heart you always wanted to do, but you never did or you haven't done yet. So I wrote it in one year, and then I gave it to someone to edit, and then I published it, and then I sent it to also these competitions that are on books that are published, and it got in the top 3. So it got an award, and also on Amazon in the categories that I listed the book, it became one of the best sellers, and I'm really proud of that. It's 280 pages, and it has 14 chapters. And then the reason I wrote this one was really because of that incident, and it took me to learn more about leadership. And as people who work in organizations, the message is that you don't really need to have a title to call yourself a leader. You don't need to be a manager, that we normally say managers manage people, these sort of things. You can really be leader and influence others, and you can be authentic and lead, and that's why the focus really is more on authentic leadership. And anyone can be a leader or develop themselves as a leader. And when I call or talk about organization, it can be an organization like your family members, you, your spouse, maybe kids. It can be even self-leadership. You can still apply some of the things that are discussed in the book. and it can get bigger into teams and organizations. So it's for various levels. And why I called it leadership soup? One is I thought when we when we have difficulty in our organization, there should be something that needs to be done, some sort of change that has to be done. And change really doesn't come by just waiting, because that kind of change could even destroy what we have created. So we have to be proactive, and we have to take the lead. We have to initiate ourselves. And when there is some issues in our personal life, I thought of health. When we catch cold, and what we do, we normally make a soup, and we feel better after eating the soup. So I thought, okay, so one way of thinking about leadership soup is creating a soup for those who want to lead, or those who want to influence others, or that way we can create teams, or we can work with others in a way that we become successful. So it's just like having the soup to make things better, or we feel better, similar to when we catch cold or we eat soup. So that's one way of putting it. The other thing I thought, as I said, I'm an engineer, so I really like frameworks, as well as I like acronyms. So I put this whole leadership soup as an acronym, with leadership being the ingredients of the soup. Let's say L in the leadership is about listening, or E in the leadership is about empowering others, or A is action, or D is developing others or yourself. So so on. So it has like all of these letters of leadership as the ingredients of the soup that we want to make. And then I said there are three pillars of leadership, and one of them is the faith, and I call it the catalyst, the heat that is generated to really make the soup. And the other one is our vision. It's like having the water, and it integrates everything. So when we put the ingredients in there with the vision, we can really make that soup very good. And then the third part of, or the third pillar that I talk about in this book, one of the main chapters is about energy and enthusiasm and passion that we have for what we are doing. Because if I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, then I cannot really influence others very well and have them to follow when I share the vision with them. So energy, vision, and faith, these are the three things that I talk about, the major pillars of leadership. And then these ingredients that I talk in about 10 chapters. And then the last chapter is bringing everything together. Now, what is the soup? Soup is the outcome, right? And the outcome, as if you look at these four pieces of the puzzle, the S is success, the O is outstanding performance, the U is unity, and the P is productivity. If we really um, follow these components of the leadership soup, and then have those pillars also in place, which is energy, which is vision, and which is faith, then we can really succeed in our personal life, in our professional life, in our business. So that's the title of it. And that's the reason I wrote the book, as I said in it. And you can get the book from Amazon. You can go to my website, dreamachieversacademy.com. At the top menu, there is books, and then you can get either a soft copy of it, or just go through Amazon and order a paperback copy of the book. So when we look at the book, there are lots of quotes and lots of information there. And maybe I just read a little bit from this page. It's about management versus leadership, because that's still a question in people's mind. And I have listed many differences between the two. And let me read some of these. Managers are reactive, leaders are proactive. So leaders really think ahead and they're more proactive. This could happen in your personal life, in your professional life, in your career, in your business. When you are reactive, you can act better, you can respond better, you don't become a firefighter. Normally, managers, when they do not have those leadership characteristics, they become more like reactive to situations. Managers accept what it is, leaders envision what it could be, and that's why we have this vision on the leadership side versus with management. Okay, this is what it is, and they do not normally foresee more than that. They just want to get to the objectives, and that's it. But leaders, since they are proactive, they can envision what it could be, and then they bring others together to get to that ideal picture that they have. Managers avoid change and leaders embrace change. And we can see this one in current environment. In companies that embrace change through their leadership, they will be more successful in the long term. But those who do not want to change and they say, no, this is the business that we have, and we have to just manage it and we have to manage people, then they will not succeed. They will leave sooner or later. Manager, Managers push with force, leaders pull with natural inner power. And that's when you read the book, Force versus Power, you'll kind of understand the difference between the two. But normally managers push and leaders pull. So there are many differences that I have mentioned in the book. And I really encourage those who want to learn more about authentic leadership and how they can become a better leader in a simple and understandable language. We see some leadership books that are dry to read. They have lots of theories involved, but this one has a flow. It has some stories, examples, and those who have read the book, they can kind of connect with it. And that's the purpose that I have when I write an article or books, for that to have a simple flow. And I give you why it's important to do. If you don't follow this, or if you do not apply this, what happens, what would be the consequences, and so on. So that's about it for today. If you have any questions about the leadership, about the leadership book, just let me know and I'd be happy to answer. So for next time I talk about another time I talk about Get What You Want book, that and then mention how that one came about. So this book is really the outcome of the couple of weeks that I've talked about. One was commitment and consistency, and the other is about finding time to do it. And finding time is really going back to what we are spending our time on, and then where we can make some time or save some time. This is what highly successful people do, and this is what every one of us can do. It's just for you to monitor yourself during the day and find out where are the leak areas, and then try to close them, cut some wasted time there, and that way you can do wonders with those even 1 or 2 hours per day that you gain back. Um, have a great day. Until next time, live the life of your dreams and make a difference consistently, my friends, on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are. I wish you greater levels of success. Have a great day.